waves always have a pattern of timing and size and energy. I see it a lot in the ocean, and those parts can be chaotic, and then when they're put together, they're coherent.
Ooh, it's going to be cold for a swim.
After a long day travelling, usually the only thing I feel like doing is getting in the ocean. It has a way of helping me reset.
Oh yeah, perfect. Dude, we can put heaps of boards up here.
I've come to Chile before and had an inconspicuous vehicle, but this time seems to be different. This is our home for the trip, an old RV with an American flag plastered on the side.
Still cold.
Far out.
Okay. Let's get it going.
Right, yeah. Especially with foiling, what makes me want to come back more often is just the variability and the broadness of what foiling is. It's not just surfing, so it just keeps it fresh all the time. The foil opens up so many waves that the surfboard just can't get to. It's so good not to be bound to a routine. Living with the sunrise and sunset. It's a bit cold here, but nothing you can't get used to. I've never connected a wave perfectly what I've envisioned in my head. And that's probably why I want to keep coming back and keep doing it, to perfect what I'm doing. I guess not everything's going to be perfect, but you can get closer and closer with more and more time in the water. I'm not sure why I bring so many different crafts to ride. All the crafts are just a tool.
Así que harta felicidad. Este es el atún chileno.
In inglés, mackerel.
Macro,
Yeah.
acá nosotros le decimos bonito.
Oh no, bonito, yeah.
Este es el bonito.
Yeah,
Sí.
yeah.
Pero le decimos atún porque este es el atún chileno, es más chico, bueno, más tosquito. ¿Cuántas querés?
Dos.
Dos querés.
Ahí tiene.
Y este lenguado, es rojito. Sí. Bueno.
¿Tienes otras más? ¿De esas monedas?
Es bueno, muy rico.
What do you say? We finally out Matanzas, and then these guys came in through here, and then we just came and bought some chaiba, bunch of crab. Veg, rice, crabs. Put these in as well. Big claws. I don't think I've ever had sea crab. I've only had mud crab.
Good.
They're messy. They're messy as.
Good? You good?
Yeah. After a couple of days with a local crew just south of Santiago, we had a day of rain and no conditions, so we packed up and headed south. After many hours of driving, we were met with blue skies and a sunset over the water. A new swell was arriving in the morning, which meant new possibilities and new waves to discover. That one was actually... Dude, what the hell? This morning it's northeast, which is offshore, and then this afternoon the trade winds will pick up from the south to the southwest, and that's when it usually gets good, from what we've gathered. With waves of different speeds, different sizes and power, there's a perfect tool for each one. There are literally so many ways to enjoy the ocean here. be brutally honest, this RV is kind of a piece of shit. We're getting to know it personally every day. I think by this point in the trip, we've broken everything that we can break. But for what it's worth, it's getting the job done and getting us to the areas we need to be.
Hola. Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, ¿tú cómo estás? Bien. 11.450.
Gracias.
Aquí. No, yo no lo doy por lo mismo. ¿Así no, bolsita? ¿Así no?
Gracias.
A ti, amigo mío.
Y buenas noches.
Las más heladas que el corazón de la suegra.
¡Oh, oh! ¡Chao, chao!
Está helado, oye. Las más heladas que el corazón de la suegra.
That's a traditional shop, hey? Like full traditional Chilean mini mart.
We can't blame everything on the RV. After a long day in the water today, we grabbed some beers at the local market and then headed to our spot where we've been camping. On the way, I hit a bit of a muddy patch,
The proper bogs.
and before we knew it, we spun off into the embankment.
Oh well, gonna have to get muddy, eh?
Spent 2 hours under the car, digging out mud.
50% chance of sleeping on a slant. You're gonna have to direct me here.
Yeah.
And before we knew it, we crawled ourselves out for a well-earned sleep.
Brother! You! Put the sandals back on now.
Yeah.
Lucky I brought my work boots.
And each day, we love it a little bit more.
Go back to the other spot. That one. It's still going. Oh. Alright. We better get our shots on. It's pretty good out there. How fun was that?
For me, foiling, surfing or body surfing, there is no activity better than the other. It just depends on the day and the conditions. I'm stoked no matter what the ocean gives me, and I try to enjoy it to the best of my ability. Me and my mate Bo, when we body surf with the tray, we call a term for stalling in the barrel, locking the hubs, and jackknifing it. This is jackknifing it. I do bottom turns. I definitely feel like that's the entry to approaching a turn, and I feel like they feel very similar, if not the same, but in a different speed. Definitely sets you up for the top turn, which is generally the most powerful or spectacle turn you'll see. If you have a nice setup bottom turn, your top turn will always be cleaner and smoother and more powerful, instead of like a shallow one or one that's not as deep and vertical. So like to me, you take a deep of bottom turn or more drawn out bottom turn, it sets you up for a bigger top turn. It's definitely the satisfaction of like thinking of a maneuver or a line you want to take, more so foiling, and then being able to put that thought into motion. I like to take time off anything, whether it's surfing, carpentry, foiling, skateboarding, like a few days at least, just to let your brain process what you've done and like make those connections again.
First try.
And then I always find when I come back after a week or two, I end up being more sharp and more responsive and better at foiling or whatever sport I'm doing. the two sports, like not assimilating to surfing, because when I first started foiling, it was like I was at that stage where I couldn't even do the lines of surfing, and now when I surf and foil, everything's starting to merge together, and the lines I'm taking are quite similar. They're not exactly the same, but they're getting closer and closer, so that line between both is starting to thin out. This morning I stared directly into the sun. Bummer, because the waves are so good. But once the sun rose a little, it ended up being a really, really fun session.
Is that the last foil of the trip?
Not sure yet. Made me froth even harder again. Might be the ticket. Bit of thin stuff to get it going.